been playing Blow on our show. We've been getting such amazing feedback. In fact, we've been getting feedback for every track we've played off the soundtrack so far. How excited are you to be part of such an amazing soundtrack?
I mean, what a lineup, right? It's so cool. The feeling is just like, it's unlike anything, because to be put with bands like Five Finger Death Punch and Papa Roach, and I think the Who has a couple of track on there as well. It's just it's such a wide variety of sounds, right? But then you get everybody together on this record writing music for this specific soundtrack, and it's just massive. It's so fun.
Now, I was lucky enough to see the film about 12 months ago at a festival, and I remember coming out of the film and I was like, I need that soundtrack. It wasn't online at the time, so I had to wait for it. But it's one of those films, and is that something that you're so excited about now? Have you been able to see the film, and have you had that experience as well?
I did. I went to the Santa Fe Film Festival. So you and I are the same. Like, we went to film festivals and we were like, I need this to come right now. But it didn't. We had to wait, very impatiently waiting, as I affectionately refer to it as, because there's so many different changes, with the whole pandemic thing that went on. But I'm so excited that it's here. I've always said, even from like the beginning of when we were filming it, that it had very Evil Dead vibes. Yeah. Which was super fun for me, so I think a lot of people will really enjoy it.
Because we had the Who on our show last week while they were in Australia, and they haven't seen the film yet. So they said that they're in this kind of weird space at the moment where they know that their track is in the film, and they know that people are loving the track, but they still haven't had a chance to see the film.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, I mean, it's such a strange space to be in, too, for us as musicians. They're very busy. They're, on tour. And so I just so happened to be not on tour when the Santa Fe Film Festival was going on. And I had a pretty unique experience with the whole filming process, in any case. And so I immediately, I hit up Michael Lombardi, and I was like, is there any chance I can swing through this next upcoming festival? Please tell me, are there more festivals that are coming up? Because I knew I had missed the one in LA. And he said, oh my gosh, yes, you have to come. The next one's Santa Fe. So I just so happened to be able to make it, and it held such a special place in my heart, the whole filming experience, that I had to go and had to see it.
So tell us a little bit about how you felt when they first approached you, because of course you're in the film as well as having a track on the soundtrack. So how did they first approach you, and what was that pitch when they first approached you?
It was funny. It was one of the first things that I had done, being a signed artist on the label. So they had worked on another film called Snow Babies that featured our music, and so Michael had already been kind of prepped on our music and our sound. So when they wanted Blow for the soundtrack, he said, would you like to be sort of like an extra in this film? And I said, okay, cool. That'd be amazing. I've always had an interest in it. I don't know. I mean, you'll have to see the film just to see if I'm any good at acting. But it was a fun thing. He said, at first I was going to be one of the kind of creatures in the film. And then, like I was saying, it happened at such a weird time with the whole pandemic, and like certain actors and actresses that were slated to be part of it weren't able to participate in the film. And so the whole opening scene sort of just became like available option for me to sort of swing into. And so Michael had so much fun with me on set the first time. And I fell right into step with these guys. It was just sort of a really cool kindred spirit moment. And I just met everybody and fell in love immediately with their whole vibe. And I was very interested in the whole process. Is that a question? When do I get on a plane? Let's do this. So it sort of happened in a real funny way, but it was so fun.
Yeah, and you were great in the film too, so don't worry about that. You were really, really good.
Thank you.
That was one of the things I think that I loved about this movie so much, because apart from a music journalist, I work as a film journalist, and I see a lot of films where they have musicians or people who aren't actors come in to do cameo roles, and sometimes they stand out really badly. But in this film, everybody just blended in so naturally that it felt like everybody in the film was really natural. So I guess, is that how you felt on set? Were you nervous on set, or did you feel really calm on set?
I think, you know what, I love that your takeaway from that, because I was also kind of afraid that might occur. You know, there's so many musicians in this film, but they were so strategic in placing, you know, where these musicians came in at. I think a lot of it was very believable because of that. It's got a campy horror vibe, very gore horror vibe anyway, so I feel like a lot of the, you know, tongue-in-cheek and the funnier parts really fit as well. And the cameo performances, I think, were really cool. I felt comfortable because, like I said, I was just so enamored by the whole process. And it was the second time that I had been to set that we actually got it done. So it was a lot of fun for me. I'm glad that it translated, that it was natural, because it felt that way to me, being a part of it.
Were you a big horror fan before this film, or was that something new for you as well, being involved with the horror genre?
You're going to laugh at me so much, but I am the biggest chicken ever. I am not a horror film person. I have nightmares still, sleepless night lights. I can't even lie to you. It was really funny to my friends that the first film that I was able to be part of was a horror film. They were like, she's going to die on set. She's not a scare fanatic. But like I said, I got through it. I think it was good that it wasn't necessarily a movie that included anything demonic or aliens really get to me. So it wasn't either of those things. So I felt like I was all right.
I think that's something that you really notice with this film as well. It is a horror film, but you can perfectly understand the central characters and why they act the way that they do. Was that something that stood out for you when you first read the script?
The story was very twisted, and the way that it was twisted was very, I guess, believable to me. I'm like, wow, you know, I hadn't really considered that, but if this was in fact what happened, I could see where this would go down that road, you know? So it was, and that's all I'll say. I don't want to, for those people who are wanting to go see it, you need to go see it, because it's got a really weird twist, very graphic twist to it that I feel like was wow, they went there.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the track Blow. Did you write this track especially for the actual film soundtrack, or was it just selected for the soundtrack?
We had it ready to go, and it was in the mind's eye of the band when we wrote it. It was just supposed to sort of be like a fun, you know, high energy, sort of, you know, snarky rock song. And so we really didn't see the vision, you know, for it being a part of a horror film. At first, that kind of felt like, really, I don't see that at all. But when we got with the creative team at the label, and they kind of you know, gave us the skinny on how they thought we should do the music video, then everything sort of fell into place. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is way different than I envisioned, but it was super cool.
So what was the track originally written about?
You know, when we wrote it in the studio, it was kind of like something I felt like almost, I guess if I could paint a scene in a movie from my head, what I experienced as we were writing it was like, there's a woman who's also sort of undercover, trying to blow maybe this case wide open, right? And so they're at this maybe a poker table at a casino type of thing, and she's you know, just fly on the wall. You know, they think that she's just a pretty girl, but she's there to blow up their whole operation, right? So. And then you kind of get into the chorus, I'm about to blow, you know, so it's like, to me, it seemed like it was a very sneaky, sort of snarky, I'm going to get ya kind of song.
Yeah.
But that was the image that I had in my head when we wrote it.
And how did Spencer become involved with the track as well? Because, of course, that's something I think that's attracted a lot of people to the song here in Australia. They have got so many fans over here. We did a premiere of a horror film over here a couple of years ago, and they came along to host it, and we had so many entries. I think we only had 100 tickets to give away, and we received thousands of entries of people wanting to come along and meet those guys. So what was it like working with Spencer?
Wow, that's crazy. First of all, who is not an Ice Nine Kills fan? That was just so fun for us, too, to even have, you know, this. And again, it was during the time when not a lot of people were meeting in person. It was all very, like, through the, like, management channels and, like, Zoom call type deal. So I was really kind of blown away they would even submit this to him because, you know, we're new. Nobody knew who we were. This is our very first release. So I was like, no way we're going to land an Ice Nine Kills feature, right? But then, come to find out, Spencer was a part of the film. He was acting also in the film, and so we kind of met via the Retaliators. And so when we pitched the track to him, he not only was like, hey, this is a really cool song, but he said, hey, you know, it would be cool as if we wrote the second verse according to my character in the film. I was like, that's a super dope idea. We need to do it, and the rest is history. So finally, it was probably several months later after the song had been out on Spotify. Not quite to radio yet, but it's since releasing on Spotify. And it was the first Welcome to Rockville that we had played, and they happened to be there that year. And so I kind of saw him walking through the like where all the bands were hanging out. And I waved. I wasn't sure if he was going to recognize me. And not only did he recognize me, he came right over, started singing the hook to the song, was like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. You know, we grabbed the picture together. It was so cool. They're such nice guys. Very, very nice guys. What a cool, you know, experience, I guess, to have his creativity on that track.
That is awesome. And I've got Spotify open in front of me at the moment. You guys have got 5 million listens for that track so far. How important do you feel that being part of this soundtrack has been for your career? Because I know when I was growing up, I used to discover a lot of music through soundtracks. I used to go to see a film, and if I liked the music, I would go and buy the soundtrack straight away. And I remember discovering Our Lady Peace through the Craft soundtrack and picking up things like the Disturbing Behavior soundtrack. Is that something that was in the back of your mind, that this soundtrack would actually help a lot of people discover Eva Under Fire?
Totally unexpected, honestly. I know that they wanted this song for the soundtrack, but at that time I had no idea what other music would be included. And so now that I see there's just this massive compilation of huge rock songs, I'm like, holy crap, this is like the new Queen of the Damned soundtrack.
Yeah.
Or like you said, The Craft or something, you know what I'm saying? Like there are still soundtracks from like the early 2000s that people are still talking about that were just huge for rock music. And this absolutely could be the next one, which is super cool. But yeah, definitely an unexpected, pleasant surprise.
I have to ask now, because Queen of the Damned, the soundtrack, is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Is that a favorite for you as well?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, that was like my childhood right there, you know. It was like the early 2000s is when, you know, everybody was kind of like the new goth alternative kick, and like Underworld came out, and like Evanescence was like a big, I don't think that they were part of the Underworld soundtrack, but they did something with like Bring Me to Life was on a soundtrack for some other movie, I can't remember now. But like all of those like sci-fi movies were including all these like massive rock songs. Like, this is awesome, you know. Even like wasn't there some kind of like post-hardcore or industrial music that was in like the Matrix soundtracks and stuff too?
Yeah, there was. And there was a great soundtrack for the Spawn film, where they actually got a lot of electronic artists to work with heavy metal and rock artists. So you had like Metallica remixed by DJ Spooky and stuff like that, and it was such an amazing soundtrack.
Insane. Yeah, insane. Much love to new metal and the early 2000s.
Well, Amanda, we are going to play Blow on our show again right now. We do have to wait a couple more weeks here in Australia for the film to come out, but we're going to play Blow. So what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before they take another listen to this amazing track and before they go to see the film in a couple of weeks' time?
Oh my goodness, much love, Australia. Thank you for showing up for us early. This one is Blow by Eva Under Fire, and I hope to see you guys soon.